Ducati said Aprilia is the reference. Then they said nothing is lost. Both statements came from the same garage, in the same week, and only one of them can be true. So which one is it? And what does it say about a team when the honest answer and the public answer are not the same? This matters because of what those two statements reveal when you put them next to each other. Gigi Dall Igna, the man who built Ducati's most dominant motorcycle, looked at the current standings and told the paddock that Aprilia is the reference. That is not a tactical move. It is not a motivational tool designed to wake up the factory. It is a technical assessment from the most qualified person to make it. That means Aprilia is the bike other manufacturers are now measuring themselves against, not Ducati. And then Ducati's public position said nothing is lost. I don't think you can hold that admission in one hand and nothing is lost in the other without asking what is actually happening inside that garage. Because those two statements do not describe the same reality. That's the problem. One of them is honest, and I don't think it's the second one. A team that knows it is behind and admits it is behind can start fixing it, but a team that admits it is behind and then tells the world nothing is lost is not fixing anything. So which one is Ducati doing right now? Because I don't think both are possible at the same time. Let's have a look at what the data is actually showing, because this is not opinion, it is structure. We know for a fact that Ducati is still producing the fastest single laps. That has not changed. The qualifying pace, the one-lap ceiling, still there. But the race is not one lap. And over race distance, Aprilia is now consistently stronger. The tyre management, the race pace degradation curve, the ability to control a Grand Prix from the front rather than simply lead it early, all of it points in the same direction. And I don't think there is a more important distinction in MotoGP than the gap between fast and sustainable. Let's be clear about what that actually means. Fast wins qualifying. Sustainable wins championships. Those are not the same race. And right now, Ducati has one of those things. Aprilia has both. And the race is where Aprilia is now winning. The question isn't whether Ducati can still go fast. It is whether going fast is still enough. But the story doesn't end there, because the deeper problem is what Ducati has lost beyond pace. Their dominance was never just about having the fastest motorcycle. It was about having a system, multiple riders capable of winning, consistent race pace across the whole field, total control over the grid that made every rival feel like they were racing in a structure Ducati had already designed. That system advantage is gone, and that changes everything. What replaced it is something far more fragile, a season that now depends almost entirely on one rider. Marc Marquez has to carry this, not share it, not distribute it across a structure, carry it. And that turns Ducati's season into a gamble, not a system. How do you build a championship around one rider when the plan was always to build it around a system? And I'd say that is a fundamentally different kind of pressure from anything Ducati has operated under in years. When the system wins, individual mistakes get absorbed. But when one rider carries everything, individual mistakes decide the season. We've seen teams go through transitions before, but this one is different. Let's not forget that Marquez's physical condition is itself a question inside the paddock. The crashes, the shoulder history, the inconsistency under the kind of sustained pressure a championship fight generates. None of that has been resolved. None of it has been publicly addressed. So Ducati built their entire season around a rider whose ceiling is uncertain. And they did it at the exact moment the system that was supposed to support him stopped working. The system was supposed to carry the season. The rider was supposed to be the weapon. But the system failed before the weapon was fully deployed. Can you win a championship that way? Maybe, but I highly doubt it looks anything like what Ducati envisioned. But Aprilia didn't just get faster. They got smarter about the part of racing that actually decides championships. Not outright speed, but sustainability, stability through corners, tyre management over 20 laps, the ability to control a race rather than just attack one. That is not a set-up adjustment. That is a conceptual shift in how a motorcycle works across a full Grand Prix, and it is the kind of shift that takes years to build and cannot be reversed by a software update or a new part. And more importantly, it is the specific quality that turns fast riders into winners and fast bikes into championship machines. Right now, Aprilia has it, but I don't think Ducati does. A mid-season upgrade cycle does not close that kind of gap. And, oh yeah, I almost forgot to mention, Pedro Acosta has been rated the fastest rider in MotoGP in every single Grand Prix so far this season. And he hasn't won a race. Not one. The fastest rider not winning. The dominant team not leading. A manufacturer just admitted someone else is the reference. And that manufacturer is still saying nothing is lost. Something in that picture is broken. And I don't think it's Acosta's fault or Ducati's luck. It is the structure of the sport right now, shifting in real time, faster than the people inside it are willing to say out loud. The fastest rider should be winning. The team that admits it is behind should be making changes. But neither of those things is happening. That is not a coincidence. It is a snapshot of a sport mid-transition where the old logic no longer produces the old outcomes. There are two possible scenarios from here, and I think the distance between them is significant. The first is that Marquez finds a level of consistency that covers for the system gap. Ducati's machinery gives him enough margin, the championship stays close, and, in the second half of the season, the experience factor matters more than the structural advantage Aprilia currently holds. I can see a version of that. Marquez at his best is capable of things that change the shape of a championship, moments that compress the standings in ways pure race pace cannot. I don't think Ducati is finished. Not yet, not with that machinery. But I highly doubt this resolves cleanly, because the problem isn't the rider, it's the structure around him. And structure doesn't fix itself mid-season. You can't upgrade your way from one rider dependency back to system dominance. On the other hand, the shift continues. Aprilia controls more races. The grid learns that Ducati's reference status is gone, and Marquez, carrying more weight than the plan was ever designed to put on him, begins to show the kind of inconsistency that was always the risk underneath the expectation. At the end of the day, dominance in MotoGP doesn't end with one bad result. It ends when a manufacturer admits they're no longer the reference and keeps behaving as if they are. Dall Igna said the honest part. Ducati's public position said the other part. And the gap between those two statements is where the story actually lives, because the honest part is already out there, said on record by the person most qualified to say it. So what happens to a team's identity when the man who built their dominance publicly tells the world it's gone? I don't think that question disappears just because the press conference ends. They admitted it in public. They just haven't accepted what it means in private. And that gap between the honest assessment and the public position is exactly where this season will be decided, because the grid has heard Dall Igna, and the grid adjusts. Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video appearing on your screen right now.